Well, g'day, Bobby. Thanks for having me out here today.
Pleasure.
What's this place called?
Zaytuna Farm's Permaculture Institute of Australia.
Okay. And what are we looking at here?
This is the campsites for all the permaculture students. They come out here for 2 weeks. You pitch a little tent, and then over on the left here, we have platforms are built, and people pitch the tents over there. We have a composting toilet here on the right with hot shower, and the hot shower is it's 2,000-year-old technology.
Yep.
Where we cut up some pallets and put it in this little bin, and the heat gets drawn up through the cylinder, and it heats up the copper pipe, transfers to the hot water, and we have hot water all day for 40, 50 people.
Wow.
And everything's awesome. This farm is totally sustainable. And up here is our kitchen garden. From the road all the way to there is a kitchen garden, and it's maintained by the students. So what the students do, now the whole thing about permaculture is finding balance with nature. See, actually, you see how we got the garden on the hill? Yep. So then, like now when it's raining, the water comes down, and it's all raised beds. So we put the organic matter, the mulch, compost, it's all raised on the ground. There's no hoeing or tilling or nothing like that. It's all about getting down with microorganisms. That's what it's all about. Promoting good food and letting the worms and the microorganisms go to work for you. So you capture the water, it goes into the raised beds as it comes down, it soaks into your garden, and as you can see, the garden looks pretty good. And the food, oh my God, the food is incredible.
You know the woofer?
No.
This is Peter Montgomery. He's he's linking up the farm.
Okay.
I'm wolfing. Wolfing is World Workers of Organic Farming. I give work every day for the food. Everything that we eat here on the farm comes right from the kitchen garden. And I'm kind of doing a clinical trial on myself to see if eating organic food will slow down or stop the process. I'm losing my eyesight. It's a juvenile form of macular degeneration. It's called Stargardt's disease. So I'm looking to slow that process or even reverse that process by eating organic food. Last time I checked, Peter, I think we're all organic beings. So we should be eating organic food.
Yeah.
So I've lost close to 70 pounds in 7 months of eating organic food.
Yeah.
And my eyesight has started to clear up slowly, surely. Not reading the news, but I have no center vision. My peripheral is cloudy, but it is clearing up. And here with the permaculture, there's close to 35 students here. It's a 2-week course initially, and then there's a 10-week internship.
Yep.
And there's about 35 students here, so I'm starting to catch some smiles and faces, which I've never had before, so it's really exciting.
You got a fish, mate? And I was in India. And
Did you make this pesto here? Yeah, mate. It's beautiful, mate. I did that.
yeah.
There you go. So the lunch line.
Yeah, man. It has such flavor. They grow for flavor here.
Yeah.
And there's no chemicals. And that's why I came to New Zealand and now Australia. Because when you guys say there's no chemicals in your food, for the most part, y'all mean it. And that's to correct my eyesight, I need chemical-free food. And everything is grown, and it's just not like all potatoes, all tomatoes. It's mixing things up. And then you have like lavenders and things like that. You confuse the pest. A confused pest, and we invite the birds and the spiders because they're the predators to the pests that eat our crops. So it's all nature working for us, with us, and for our benefit. We get good food. And then, so that's why I came all this way, is to learn from Jeff. And because when I got started with the worms in Hawaii and coming over here, now I want to see, because of my vision, no one's offering me a job, but now he has this great idea to have people come here. You take a 2-week permaculture design course, a 10-week permaculture design course internship, and then he's going to send people all over the world to work with indigenous people to grow a food forest, to start a garden, to feed people naturally. No herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, no chemical fertilizers. Natural, clean, good food to be healthy and strong and happy. It's all, you know, it's about simplicity in life. Simplicity is clarity. And that's what all this food does for us. And for me personally, I've been here 2 weeks, and I've been at this 6 months eating organically. I was a vegan for 3 months, and then a vegetarian, and then I'm finding out about balance. So here I had some goat milk and some fresh cow milk. I mean, they milk them in the morning, it's on the breakfast table. The chef makes incredible food, and my eyesight is getting clearer. I spent, right over there is the basil trees, the bushes. I spent 7 minutes this morning watching the bees pollinate. It was very quiet here at 6 a.m. It's just the interns and the birds. And I was actually able to watch the bees pollinate from about 3 feet away. And I even got closer. And because my eyesight is clearing up, I could see them working. I could see the things happening. I saw the white flies going on the plants. I'm seeing the insects. I'm seeing things that I haven't never seen. I'm catching faces and smiles. I am very excited about what is happening. In my TED Talk, I say I'm just going to follow the worms. I follow them here to Zaytuna Farms, and now the possibilities for my future look very bright. Because what is it? Uncertainty is endless possibilities. Mm-hmm. You know, I kid all the interns. You know, right now it's like 30 of them. You know, so I go, "Worm warriors of the world, can you dig it?" Yeah. I said, "No, can you dig it?" Yeah. So that's just kind of have fun with it. And from Hawaii to New Zealand, now to Australia, that things are really happening for me here. And I get to meet Jeff, and he's a visionary. And he's going to train all these people to go all over the world and build food forests. From here, I go to Thailand to work with an aquaponics farm, 1 million fish hatchery there. Then I'll go to Vietnam. I'm going to work in a 300-year-old food forest. And then Cambodia, Laos. And then next January, I come back here to do my own intern, because I was just wolfing here. Not only is it all of this, but it's also sustainable businesses. You know, people are starting to think more about sustainable business. And if that happens, once people realize that you can be successful, sustainable, and have a good, clean conscience and work ethic of helping people, I think it's just going to domino more and more people once they find out. The diversity of the students are here. We have accountants, we have a lawyer, we have plumbers, electricians, we have guys that were working at Woolworths, and we have 2 families here that want to start little farms of their own, because it's happening. There's a food revolution going on, and this is what's happening. People are finding out about the microorganisms and working with them. Because if I was told a successful business leader, I have $1 billion labor force waiting for you to go to work to produce food, and it's by the, you know, I have 1 billion worms out here in this field waiting to go for work. All we have to do is feed them organic matter, and all the microorganisms in the worms will produce so much food for us, and people will get healthy. And as we go back up in there, the interns have established food forests. So they have bananas and mangoes and papayas. But as you walk through, it just looks like a forest. They have great ground cover of sweet potatoes and potatoes, and there's more gardens over here with comfrey. They come and they actually work on their projects by doing. You know, they have classroom, instruction, tools, technique, and terminology. In any business, you learn that, and you can be successful. And in this, we're trying to promote and produce good food. Jeff told me the other day it was like 0 miles and 0 guilt. You know, it's something about walking out here. Last week, the day after Christmas, When I came here, we walked out here and we actually took out the beetroot, this beautiful zucchini, and got some nice, 3 or 4 different lettuces here, and we got some herbs right along here, and we went right back to the kitchen and made this most wonderful dinner, and it was all growing like 45 minutes before, you know. It's something beautiful about eating right out of the garden.
We met at the Channon Markets, just a pure chance meeting, lining up in the sugarcane juice line, and had a quick chat.
It's such a Channon here in Australia. It's absolutely beautiful. It's an incredible experience I've had so far.
Okay, so could you share with us? We'll go way back now to how this kind of all started out, and just share with what it's been like, you know, vision impaired, and kind of how you ended up where you are now.
Yeah, it's through my disability, always maintaining a positive attitude, work ethic. When I turned 50 years old, I was a chief engineer at a hotel in Washington, D.C. Eyesight got worse, so moved to Hawaii. They have good buses there, and it's Hawaii. So I went there, and I went to Ho'opono School for the Blind. And from there, I started working at an organic farm for something to do, to be a part of something. They had an internship, and they accepted wolfers. It was an educational farm. So I started learning about worm composting and gardening and everything that I didn't know about back in Virginia as just a suburbanite, you know.
Yeah.
So I started working in gardens, and I got really good at the tours and educating kids and working with all kids from 2 years old to grad students, and started working with aquaponics and worm castings. And a woman saw me working with a bunch of kids one day. Her name is Amy, and she came over and introduced herself, and I did a TV show about my life experiences. And then I started doing, she asked me if it got really well received, so she asked me if I'd like to do a TED Talk. So, and TED stands for Terminology, Education, and Design.
Yeah.
And you have 12, 15, 18-minute talks. And mine, one of the categories was personal experiences. So mine was a personal experience. And from that TED Talk, I got a lot of great feedback on people, you know, wishing me well in my journey and things like that.
Yeah.
So I figured when you Google sustainability and organic food, New Zealand and Australia, there's so many people involved with that here. And I found in my 3 weeks here, Australians have such a genuine way of, when they tell you there's no chemicals in the food, they pretty much mean it. It's really straight shooters here. Yeah. So I started working 3 or 4 of these farms, and I'm eating excellent food, as you can contest to today.
Yeah, that lunch is beautiful.
Yeah, when you take beetroots and zucchini and squash and all the different types of lettuces and herbs, when you pick it that morning, and Chef Tish here at Zaytuna Farm says, fantastic. It's fine dining at its best. So yeah, you know, detoxing all the chemicals out of 50 years of all that, you know, eating out of a grocery store.
Yeah.
So so my eyesight is clearing up, and now with the more and more I've learned about permaculture and his courses and what Jeff teaches here. Next year I'll be coming back myself with a 3-month internship because there's opportunities here to what Jeff will teach you, and then you go out all over the world and start working with indigenous people and showing them how to establish a food forest and how to work with the land and building ponds and the contours of how the land works, and basically just getting down with the microorganisms, you know, and making all that work for yourself. No chemical, no herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, no chemical fertilizers. It's all natural food. By working with the worms and the microorganisms, having them work with us, the food that is produced off this farm, there's close to 50 people on this farm, and we eat everything out of that kitchen garden. 3 times a day, and I love this country because you get 2 tea breaks in the middle of the day. So it's been quite an incredible experience.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you actually get started in the worm composting side of things? So I mean, in your TED Talk you talked about you and a friend kind of basically just looking for opportunities because no one's hiring you.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
So yeah, that was it. And I started with the topsy-turvy. In America, they sell it on late night TV. It's called topsy-turvy. It's a bag. You put soil in it, and I put in 3 tomato plants. And I started growing tomatoes. If I'm going to live in Hawaii you might as well learn how to grow something. It's such a beautiful state.
Yeah.
So I was going to Oapono School for the Blind, and they had this beautiful garden out there. So I started growing some tomatoes and seeing how they grew, and I made tons of mistakes. I overwatered. I got attacked by ants one day. They ate my tomatoes. One plant died, but one tomato plant really produced a lot of little tomatoes. So I got an interest in that. So I got online. They had these great programs for me to read. The programs read the internet and my Google searches to me, and I can zoom up and zoom down to navigate throughout the web. So I started gaining all this information on gardening and hydroponics, and then I found aquaponics, and then I found organic food and gardening, and that's where I found the farm. When I found out worms were blind, and Charles Darwin spent all those years studying them, it was like, I think I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
And when I started eating the food, that's when I knew I was in the right place. And the worms came to me, and working with kids, it just became a natural thing to do every day. And it gave me a sense of accomplishment and a sense of going back to work and, the social aspects of working.
Yeah.
Which, for me, I need that in my life. I want to be a part of something positive. Even though I'm not getting paid, I still want to be a part of that. And so in the meantime, I opened up an organic coffee shop on the Big Island. But everybody wanted to eat hot dogs and drink Coca-Cola. So that really wasn't the organic dream I had. So I sold my interest to that and then went back to the farm, did the TED Talk last year, Easter. Yeah. And then from there, it's like, you know what? I have a very rare opportunity in my life to walk this planet and find organic food and gardens and the people that are involved with this. So I figured I'd give myself 2 years, start in New Zealand, work in Australia, head to Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, and then I'm coming back here in January to do that. And then from here, next year, January, I would like to go to United Kingdom, Scotland, Ireland, Italy, France, to be part of the wolfing program, work hard, eat well, and see in this 2 years totally detox my body and see if it corrects my eyesight. And in the meantime, I get to pick up all these skills on gardening and farming, everything that Jeff shows me, and start training and showing other people how to live naturally, and grow good food and eat well. Yeah. Jeff has a saying, 0 miles and 0 time and 0 guilt,
What does that mean?
That means that you put all your efforts and contributions for the food that you eat are right here on your little. And the whole farm is only a couple of 3-5 acres. It's not like in America we think farms, right? Yeah. But no, on 3 to 5 acres you can grow enough food to be sustainable, and it's all chem free. He said that last night we had a thunderstorm and some parts of the county here lost some electricity. He said last year they lost electricity for 4 days. And because he's solar powered, they didn't know until the second or third day. Because, you're totally sustainable here. Yeah. They have water catchment and solar power, and we live really well. We have internet access and all of that here. Yeah. So sustainability doesn't mean giving anything up. It just means living naturally in nature. Yeah. And growing this, the way they grow things, the permaculture, the way it's done is remarkable. And it all starts with the water catchment. Water is the life force. And from there, all the other biology starts, and with the worms, microorganisms, the food forest, the way they design it and lay it out. It's as if it's God's natural plan. Man's just finding out about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to Vietnam. Jeff shared with me there's a 300-year-old food forest there. So I'll go and spend a few 4, 5, 6 days working with them and seeing now for 300 years this has been done. Yeah. There's one I believe in Jordan. There's a food forest there that's 2,000 years old. I think this is how it was all meant to be. Yeah. And until there's feeding the world has to be a daunting task. And I think as a human beings, as a species, we've gotten off that track, and we want to produce so much food so quickly, so fast, walk into that grocery store and have it all there for us all the time. I think we have to start get back to simplicity is clarity. And once we start eating this good food, and once everyone starts feeling better, cancer, diabetes, is rampant in America. Obesity is tearing the children up in America. We have to start eating well, just eating well, and everything else will fall into play. Get over the greed and the ignorance, and just start eating well, raising our family well. Quit chasing the dollar and you know, in that vicious circle, you know, cubicle to home. You know, start thinking about the people we're involved with. You know, put down the electronic equipment and get involved with our families and raising good food and enjoy the planet that we live on. You know, this is our planet, and we're all on the same. As a species, we're all together. I love TED Talks. You know, I just watch so many of them. For me, I love books, but I can't read. So for me, TED Talks is I get to read all these scientists and researchers and very interesting people. So it's like books to me. And I get the top people in the world, and they've crafted their TED Talks so you get so much in 18 minutes. Yeah. And one of the ones I was watching, he told me that what he said was, if the insects were to die, we would perish within 50 years. If the human beings, the surface nuisance, were to leave this planet, every species on this planet would flourish in 50 years. So we're kind of like the odd kid out, you know? Yeah. So we need to try to get back into sync with what nature and this planet. And I think we could take ourselves to a level of joy and happiness and peacefulness that only seems imaginable now to us. I think once we realize that the planet, you know, if you believe in God or higher power, whatever it is, that it's all here for us. We just have to start working with what's around us. All these microorganisms and everything that's here, they're just waiting for us to get on board. And we could produce so much food for everyone on the planet. It's what I've learned so far in the last 18 months is it's tremendous. So, and it makes me feel good. And at the end of this, if I can see better, great. That's fine. I'll take that. Yeah. But in the meantime, you know, I get to understand that, you know, the earth that we live on and all the love and everything that's here for us as a human beings, it's all here for us. It's just waiting for us to smarten up, figure it out. And it's pretty cool. I like it.
So you were saying also, just back it up a little, it's actually helped your eyesight.
Yes.
So what is it that you can now see that you couldn't see before? Or, you know?
Most importantly, smiles.
Yeah.
I have no center vision, just blurry peripheral vision. So I've gone most of my life with no eye contact. I tell people I see structures, shapes, and colors, but I can't see details. So it's like looking through clouds. Yep. So I don't see eyes. I don't make a lot of eye contact and faces and smiles and get that initial reaction from people. I'm in the best of sense, I'm like a dog. I try to pick up on the vibes and how I feel, body language, and just the chemistry and the vibe that people put. You know, you put it out there and you see what comes back. Yeah. But here recently, starting in Hawaii, I called her my accountability partner because she was helping me with being a vegetarian, and we saw the movie together, Forks Over Knives, how real men eat plants, and she started making me blueberries. Blueberries are great for eyesight. Yeah. So I started making blueberry smoothies, and then I was given a tour one day for like 45 people, all in their 80s. And we were just walking around this farm in Hawaii, and I get to the point where I don't even try to see faces. You know, I just go with the flow of my day. But towards the back of the crowd, when I looked across, there she was, smiling at me, and I could see it for the first time, like in my life. And I was like, man, she's so beautiful. I can see her in my mind. I'm giving my tour, and I'm like, oh, that's what that's all about. You know, making that connection with someone. So with the smiles and the I'm hoping over the next 6-8 months, if this does reverse itself, the body is a complex, complicated machine, especially the eyes. And what I have is a blood disorder. My body doesn't displace vitamin A. So I don't know if it's going to work, but I figure one day, my goal, Peter, is one day just to sit here comfortably and read a book. Yeah. Because now I use all this equipment or magnifying glasses just to read a book. So to sit here and just comfortably read a book, obtain that information, and relay it back, yeah, that's my goal. But in the meantime, I'll just keep working these farms and eating good food, and you know, hopefully at the end of it, there'll be a job or an opportunity to. My dad always said, if you got problems, the best way to get rid of your problems is to help people with their problems. So that's kind of how I look at life. Just keep working.
Yeah. So, like I was just telling you just the other day, someone came through my website who is looking for opportunities to kind of work from home and that type of thing, and you know, use the internet to be able to do that, and because he's legally blind. And one of the great things is that, like, first thing I was just thinking of, because I only just met you a day or two before, I had a conversation with him, and straight away I was just like, hey, you got to watch this talk. I think this is more where you want to be, because he wants to help other people with disabilities, or, you know, people that are challenged to be able to look after themselves.
Yes.
And so he realizes, he said it, you know, first he's got to look after himself and figure it out himself before he can then pass that knowledge on to someone else and say, here's what I did that worked. For someone like that, you know, like, you've inspired him now, because when I showed him the video, he's texted me back saying, that's what I want to do. He saw the TED Talk and thought, that's me.
TED is the future, man. It truly is.
So for someone out there like that, listening in, or watching this video, what could you share with them about how you overcome your challenge of your eyesight, you know, and finding opportunities and kind of finding their niche in life?
Yeah, do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be. I've knocked on so many different doors, and they just, you know, the corporate world is very quick and fast. You know, production. You know, and working with permaculture, it's not about that. It's you know, it's making things happen naturally. And so for so many years, I was, you know, if I was going to be a maintenance man, I was going to be a head maintenance man, you know. So I worked my way up to the chief engineering position. Then I got older, my eyesight was progressively getting worse. Out the door I went. Now I'm out of work. I can't get a job. So as a disabled person, you already have these roadblocks coming your way. So surround yourself with good people, find your niche. And now permaculture as an industry, it's one of the fastest growing industries in the world right now because of the oil crunch and everything else that's happening in the world. People are looking for sustainable ideas to go to work. They don't care if you're blind or disabled or what your challenges are. People are looking for good food. So if you become a permaculturalist or a gardener, and if you start locally, think globally, work locally, they don't care what your disability is, as long as the food is good. That's the key. And so you work in your neighborhood. They see you being successful. You work in your community, work in your city, your town, your state, your country, and one by one, the movement. You know, there's a food revolution going on. Water, food, it's a battle. It's a fight. Yep. Greed, corruption is coming upon us all. So we need people to start producing good food. Because every day, last time I checked, Peter, you know, we got to eat a little bit of good food every day. Yeah. That's the key. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what your disability is. If you want to work in the gardens and organically, get naturally, you know, become one again with the earth. Microorganisms, worms, all of this. And you get to eat real well, you know. It's cool.
So there's a place for it.
Very much so. Yeah. And so many people like the Gershon Institute, Dr. Max Gershon found out in 1928 that eating organically cures cancer. But see, the medical industry isn't into the cure. They're into the treatment. They're into the pills, not you feeling better. You know, eating organically cures cancer. That's what the Gershon Institute is all about. And they're doing that. They've proven that. And now, 60 years later, they're still struggling with that. You know, there's never been, I look for myself, there's never been a clinical trial on nutrition, on food, where they've taken 100 cases of people of various sicknesses, from cancer, eyesight disabilities, muscle disorders. There's never been a clinical trial on organic food where you feed people organic food, give them spring water, and then chart how they do well. It's never been done. It's only been on pills. They feed us chemicals and then correct us with pills that are more chemicals. It should be something on organic food. We have a workforce here waiting to go to work for us. There's built all over the world. There are worm warriors all over the world. And that's what Darwin was getting to. 40 years he read on worms. At the end of his book he wrote, I sure hope I got this right. Because what the worms are the rock stars, you know, and their entourage of microorganisms and all those other insects that come, that's where our happiness lies. That's where our health lies. We can cure cancer on this planet. We can cure diabetes with all the children. Obesity, just by eating organic food. Take the chemicals out of the food. Detox the human beings. Get back in touch with Earth. It's very easy to do. When I walk into a grocery store now, I tell myself, and it's difficult, I've been on the planet a while, and I love food, but it's like, I do not desire anything in here. The guy said that him and his friends went for 3 months, we're not eating anything with a barcode. But even when you go in with the vegetables and the fruits, if it was raised chemically, it's not good for you. You might as well eat all the chemicals, you know? We're junkies to the chemicals, not to the foods. It's the chemicals that we crave in the food, not the food. So detox, let's get all of that out of our systems. Let's get back to good food. You know, that's the key. That's the key to our health and our survival.
Okay, so just back on to the worms, and when you started out, in a TED Talk you're talking about the fish and the worms and that whole process. Could you tell us a bit about that process that you kind of were focused on for a while there? So how did you become the worm warrior?
Oh, well, we sold worm bins. They're made here in Australia, Worm Factory 360s, and so I would, you know, and I have this terrible sickness called shyness, you know, so I think because I don't see faces, I don't always see when I, you know, so anyway, I started giving tours and selling worm bins, and then I started we had this 3-day sustainable fair, and so we had like 170 people, most of them were kids, and so we were talking, I gave the worm bin presentation to like 50 people. Yeah. It was towards the end of the day, everybody was coming back from all the tours, so I gave, so Miss Natalie, the farm manager, said, you know, Robert, tell them your story. So I told him I was legally blind and I was working on the farm and eating well. And while I was doing that, 2 teenage girls were in the aquaponics system. That's where you raise the fish. They put soot under their eyes. So I said, hey, we could have a worm, you know, like football players in America, you know. I said we could have a worm club. A worm in Hawaii, the college team of the Warriors. Yeah. So we could have the Worm Warrior Club. And then I came, you know, with a Worm Warrior Challenge, which is where you eat organic food for 4 weeks. Yep. So, and then all the kids, as I did the tours after that, they were calling me the Worm Warrior, you know. And I thought that's kind of cool. You know, I was looking for, you know, anything. I wanted to be a part. So, yeah, I played with it. It was a lot of fun. And so we started with the Worm Warrior and then the Worm Warrior Challenge. And then when I was in New Zealand, it's the Worm Warrior Camp, where you bring children. In America, 1 week, they bring out all the sick kids. 1 week, we're taking them to camp. That's all well and good, and I'm not saying it's not. But what I'm saying is, let's start a Worm Warrior camp. And let's bring these kids with cancer and diabetes to camp and teach them life skills. Have established nutritionists and coaches and teachers and a fine chef that knows how to make all this food. And teach the children that are sick life skill abilities. What's in our food? What do we want to eat? And keep them there for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Let's get them well. Let's get them happy again. It's not just a week. Let's give them a life by feeding them organic food. We know the cancer is in our bodies. It's all in all of our bodies. Sugar is an accelerant. The chemicals are accelerants. Let's stop that process. Let's start healing people on this planet. Let's get them happy again. And you can do that with organic food. So when I was in New Zealand, I started talking to people about the Worm Warrior Camp.
I figured if I was tagged Worm Warrior for a reason, it's got to be a reason. So I started playing around with different ideas. And the Worm Warrior Camp is something, and it's not just for children, but I saw so many children that were sick as we were traveling around with the fairs and festivals, talking about, worms. In Hawaii, a lot of the 4th graders start playing with the worm bins in their schools, collecting all the food from the cafeteria, and they start in the worm bins, and they gave them the rubber gloves to wear, After the 2nd day, the kids are throwing the gloves away, and they're picking up the worms, and they understand about the fungus and the bacteria and the invertebrates and insects and everything. So kids get it. They know. And if we can make that part of their lives, it'll just all become natural again for everyone. So I took the Worm Warrior and I just kind of played with it, and I was like, okay, there's a serious aspect to this as well. So I was like, how about the Worm Warrior Camp? Why can't we bring people in and start getting them healthy and feeling better? So, I figure as I travel around the planet, I might just find somebody that's got a couple of $3 million. I already got the 10 acres of land over there in New Zealand. Yeah. The woman there at the organic, she called her Organic Earth Farm in Crystal Spring. They're all for it. Their child has autism. Yeah. So I'm fascinated with how bees work. I never knew that much about bees. I started working with the bees and how they work. Because my eyesight is clearing up just this morning, I actually watched the bee for about 7 minutes, and I could actually, Peter, see the bee pollinating the basil bushes, and it's like, not only, fascinating to watch the insect world work, but I can see it. For the first time in my life, the clarity is there. I can see these details in my life. So, yeah, I'm very happy about where this is not only taking me, but I'm thinking, what's the bigger picture? Yeah. But I figure if I just walk around Earth for a while, eat good food, and share my story, if it turns somebody else on, or another disabled person, or just anybody in general that says, yeah, it sounds good to me, I want to be happy in my life, I will start eating organic food, Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. So, what's your plans then? Like, do you actually have any kind of roadmap that you're gonna follow? Like, I'm gonna do this, and then after that, I can achieve this. And do you have a step-by-step plan in place at all?
I left Hawaii 3.5 months ago, and it was the most spontaneous thing I ever did. So it just kind of, in New Zealand, I just kind of was winging it. I didn't know anybody or no wolfers or anything like that.
What's wolfers?
Worldwide Organization of Organic Farms. Okay. World Workers of Organic Farming.
Yep.
So, and you work on people's farms. And then, so once I figured that all out, and I didn't have a tent, didn't really have any hiking boots, just clothes. It was cold in New Zealand, so I was getting clothes. I was working it out.
Yeah.
And I was, as they say, I was sorting it out here, like in Australia.
Sorting it out.
So as I sorted out, I came to Australia, and now learn about permaculture. Because you not only do you learn about permaculture, but you become a teacher of permaculture. Yeah. So learn about how to do it naturally, and then how to teach others how to do it. So I'll wolf here for a couple of months, and then go back to New Zealand on the South Island, work at a honeybee farm for a while, a couple of 3 weeks, and then go to Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. I like aquaponics, the way that all works. Aquaponics is a natural living machine, and work with Murray Halleman up here in the Queensland of Australia. I want to meet him and see what he's doing with aquaponics. And then Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, and then, but if you want to make God smile, come up with a plan. So my idea is to gain as much skills as I can, and then also start talking to people that have sustainable businesses. Because I like to go back to work. I want to be sustainable. I want to be, hopefully one day meet someone and start my own family. Kind of put that on the back burner because I was just trying to get to a point on my job, to make a decent living. So, yeah, I guess, I want everything in a place to put it to. And I want to do it sustainably. Yeah. So I'm a sustainable movement. The permaculture institutes are popping up all over the world. I like the aspect of working with organics and sustainable ideas. So I'm just kind of walk around and work on these farms and gain information and meet like-minded people. And then whenever I have an opportunity to share that with people and just see how it goes, continue with my education, and then depending on, how it all plays out, start, either go back to work for someone or start my own little business, sustainable business, see how that goes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing your story, man.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
It's been excellent.
Cheers.
Good on you, man. Thanks,
Thank
heaps.
you.
See ya.
Aloha.